somebody ever told you that they hold you dear, or they hold you close to their hearts, or they can't live without you, or I don't know how I was living before you got into my life? Have you ever had those statements?
I've heard it a lot of times.
All right, then that's what we're talking about today. But anyway, as you know, this platform just discusses things that are mostly happening around us. And we're talking about relationships, we're talking about friendships, we're talking about family, and at work also. That's very important because that's where we spend most of our time. So yeah, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how close are you to something? You know, how close are you to something? But anyway, let's go. All right, welcome to Truth Syrup, the podcast. I am Press, and this is... So we're talking attachments. We're talking attachments, things that we feel like they should not let us go, or we can't live without this thing. Like the lie that we normally tell people, I can't live without you. Yeah, that is just a blunt lie, really. Because I have been living. I think what we mean to say really is that I enjoy life with you, or I enjoy living with you.
And I would like to be like that forever.
I would like to be. And that's when you go down on one knee and you propose. But there's always a problem. There's always the lack of or too much attachment to everything that you do. Whether it's your job, whether it's your marriage life or your partner's life, there's always usually that attachment that is so strong that sometimes it gives you anxieties. When the person is not here, you get anxieties, or when you can't go at work, I think during the COVID-19 scenario, a lot of people were going into depression mode because they couldn't go to work, because some of them are attached to what they do. And is it dangerous to live in like that? And that's what we're trying to find out today. It gets easier with time? I mean, are you attached to something? And also, if you are also attached to something, what is it? Some people say, I can't live without coffee. That's an attachment. That's been obsessed and attached at the same time. But if they say to you, I can't live without you, do you think it's a lie?
It depends on the mood.
Ooh. Mood?
It depends when it's said and how it's said.
Yeah.
Sometimes you honestly feel at that time that, you know what, maybe I am the best thing to you type of a scenario. But in most cases, I've learned to understand that it's not entirely the whole truth, but at the same time, it can be the whole truth to somebody else. In the sense that you have exposed them to something that they don't know. They are unfamiliar of. They never thought there's such thing in existence. And now, because they're in it now and they are enjoying it, now they want it forever type of a thing.
Wow.
But the danger part of that is it can actually, the same thing that you hold so dear that you don't want to lose, you can, because you're so overprotective, can your reaction in terms of trying to protect it can end up actually making the relationship go sour.
Yeah, because you're holding it too close to you.
Because you're holding it too close. And now, because it's the same as kids. Where, agree you love your kids, you don't want your kids to go out, they will fall. And the minute you deprive them of that opportunity to go outside and play with other kids, to fall and all that, it's got its own consequence, you know. The child can feel otherwise. The child tomorrow, when they leave, they can never come back because you're always on their space. So it's the same thing when you will meet somebody and I think they genuinely think that you're the best person for them and they are too attached to you. However, they don't know how to handle the attachment. And the minute you do not know how to handle the attachment, that's where you're going to end up losing the attachment.
Because we as parents, I remember growing up, somehow realized that my mother does not want me to leave the house. You know, parents are afraid of kids outgrowing their love and outgrowing their care. And I think that's the most dangerous attachments they can have, because as much as we are always going to be kids in their eyes, and we will always be the youngest or even the firstborn or the lastborn child, they'll always call you a child. No matter how big you thought you've grown.
15-year-old is still a baby.
It's still a baby, you know. That is a dangerous attachment to me, because at some point you need to let go.
Yeah.
And you can't make informed decisions when you're too attached to something. It usually just leaves you disgruntled and broken. I've seen how relationships that people were really attached, not saying that it's a bad thing, but excessive attachment. I think that's what I need to say it. Overdosing of attachment, where you somehow your life becomes at a standstill when this person is not around. You feel like you can't even breathe. Some people really go into a state of panic.
That's why I'm saying that once you don't know how to handle the attachment, then it becomes a problem. Because I was in a situation, I've been there where I dated somebody, and honestly, he did love me. But because of the attachment, now it became too much, because his fear of losing this attachment, if ever I can refer myself to it, because he will explain that, you know what, I've never had anybody love me the way you do. So he had his own reasons of coming up with the words that you said earlier on, where he said he can't live without me, he cannot see a life without me. But him now trying to protect that, he did not understand that the same actions of trying to protect and being overprotective of it, you actually pushing it away. Because he was just here. He was just here. And I could not do anything. I could not breathe. I could not do anything, because I can't suffocate. And I could not be myself. It's the same thing that you say. When I leave the house, more panic mode. That he's gonna, simple thing of maybe I'm knocking off, and then I'm thinking, before I go home, so we estimate okay, roughly take this time from work to home. And then it happened that I decided to go into a shop, because you think, I need to cook this. I need 1, 2, 3, let me quickly go. And then the time that he calculates and the maximum time has not been reached. I don't know, his anxiety, it's like I'm dead. It's like already it means something bad happened to me. The time you get to the house, or he calls and then you don't answer, and then you come, like, why did you not? This could have happened to you, you know. And I honestly think it was not coming from a bad place, but it's because he doesn't know how to deal with the attachment. He does not know how to handle it. And now him handle it in that way, now he does not realize, because now we busy there arguing, I'm here, dude, this has happened. No, but this could have happened. And now we're dealing with all this, because the anxiety part, now you no longer see things clearly, like you said earlier on, that once you go through this, it can actually get to a point where it clouds your judgment. And I think it got to that point. So once you cannot, yes, it's nice to have attachments, but once you cannot deal with them properly, it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I've realized this thing with a lot of people that I work with currently. I was even asking the other guy, do you have where you live? Like, do you have a home? Because I understand that you are married. So do you guys live on the streets? Because you are always at work. You understand? Why are you always at work? Certain attachments are due to certain reasons. At home, possibly. I'm not saying that he's going to
more of an escape. That's one place where he feels.
But now the place where you feel comfortable becomes your prison. It becomes your bondage. Because then, if somebody says to you, look, I can't envision life without you. This means this person is capable of doing anything. Should you one day decide to say, no, this is not working for me, it means this person is literally walking on the edge. If somebody says, I can't live with you, that person is potentially suicidal.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen once Ulebo lives,
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Because they can't see a life without you. So if ever you are walking away, then we might as well die together. And I think in most other people take this word, we take it lightly.
That's true.
And for me, I think once a person says something like that, you should really be, I'm not saying they're going to do anything to you, but you should be really worried about that. As we have indicated that before I met this person, I'm a person.
Yeah.
They also had a life before me. And even though we are together, we still have a life outside
Of each other.
And now when somebody says something like that, then what if we are faced up with a situation where that attachment, it's been threatened? What are you going to do? To what extreme are you going to go to make sure that you protect not losing the attachment that you have?
Hey, because now it involves somebody going out of their way in their heads thinking that they are solving a problem. I want to find out they're actually making a problem.
Yes.
And I think it goes back to psychology. How stable are you mentally for you to experience love? Because his reasoning was that he has never been loved the way that you love him. What the hell has he been? And what happened? Because it means there are traumas.
There's been a lot of traumas in the
Exactly.
past. That's why I'm saying that in most cases, people get exposed to things that they never even thought were existent in life. And once they see it, and it's that thing of tasting the milk or whatever, the land of honey. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Something that you never thought was available. And now you get it, and you're like, now I'm going to grab this with both my hands, with everything.
Yeah.
I cannot lose it.
Now that means Ulewu is no longer Ulewu because you are trying to maintain this person's attachment. It means your thoughts, your moves, your abilities, they somehow shift. Because as a person who would want to go jogging once in a while, not that you do it every day, it means that it needs to be timed. Because what if now I get home and then there's a problem? It means everything that is your identity in your DNA relatively needs to change, just so to make sure that my poor boyfriend or my poor husband does not panic.
That's why I'm saying that once you don't know how to handle it, the same thing that you're trying to protect indirectly, you are pushing it away. And that person does not understand tomorrow when you say that I can't do this anymore. Because for them, the idea was not necessarily to destroy. For them, they were coming up with measures in place to try to make sure that they keep this.
Wow. And keeping it means pushing it away at times. So now at work, you are attached. You're not even aware. You think you love your job, but you're attached. You can't wait for Monday. I think there are people like
There are people like that.
who literally cannot wait for Mondays. And at home, you are attached to your kids. They can't go out with people. They can't socialize. You feel like you need to protect them. You need to put them here. What are the dangers there of trying to play both parents and the protector? Because obviously that's what we are. But where do we draw the line? Where do we say this is too much?
I don't think you will actually know when to draw the line, but you must listen to your kids. They will tell you when you're overstepping. They will tell you when you are overbearing. They will tell you when they need a space. So from our side, from myself as a parent, I don't think it will be easier for me to say, no, maybe this, let me just reduce it. But listen to your kids. Because once you don't listen to your kids, they will show you through their actions. They will get to a particular age where now they can leave the house and they will never come back. And that will be too late to rectify because they've been suppressing this thing for a very long time because they did not have a choice while they were still kids because they were under your roof. But once they get 18 or 20, then you're surprised that since my child, they can stay away for a year or two, they don't call, they don't come, because now they feel like finally I'm out of this person's skin or whatever. But I think in the nutshell, we must just listen to our kids. I understand we can say that, especially when it comes to teenagers. We are easily to say that, no, don't listen, whatever. But listen to them. When they need you, they will come. But I'm not saying when you must be completely just, when they say, leave me alone, then you must just, no. But what I'm saying is listen to them and try to reduce and amend accordingly so that you don't become too much of a nuisance to your child.
Because at times, man, some of us, we were raised by a strong-willed mother who, around this time, you must be at home. And I can understand that it comes from trying to protect your kids. At some point in our lives, we're also going to be doing the same things to our kids. I think that's one thing that becoming parents need to be aware of, is that mostly what you were taught, you will relatively try and implement it on your child without even being aware, depending on the amount of time you spend at home. And our parents are the biggest attachees or attachments people that we possibly know. And for them, it comes from a good space. For them, it comes from a good heart. Now, there's this one attachment that somehow I feel like we are mostly attached to it, is that of things that usually just fade away. We are so attached to things that fade away that we feel lost when we do not have them. Say, for an example, you're attached to your car. You cannot be catching a taxi. That's an attachment. If you can wake up and say, look, I don't have a car, I'm in trouble. I am used to having a car, or I'm used to traveling with a car, then that is an attachment, and it's dangerous because at some point in your life, the car will not be there, or it would have broken down, or something would have happened to it. What then? How do you move yourself from that situation?
Yeah, it's difficult to be defined by things.
Yes.
I think in a nutshell, then your attachment now defines you.
That's true.
It becomes dangerous. People need to understand that anything outside of you, when I mean like outside of you, I mean outside of in terms of even your physical. Because today I can be able to use my legs properly.
Yes.
Tomorrow something can happen to me, maybe get into an accident, God forbid, but things can happen that can cause you not to have the outside of me anymore. Not necessarily referring to jobs, your wife, your kids, because you can get employed, you can lose your job. Those ones are the obvious one. But I'm just talking about even your physique.
Yeah.
And I think once we can understand that part, that don't be defined by anything, don't be attached to anything, don't even be attached to your own body and think that with my body I can get 1, 2, 3. What happens tomorrow if you lose weight and you no longer, or you have a child or something happens and you no longer have the body you used to have at a particular age? That's when you let that thing be an attachment to you. So I think for now, it's just a matter of just not allowing that to define who you are. And once you are not defined by it, then it will not bother you that much. Whether you have it, you don't have it, your inner being is the one that directs you. Then whether you are in a car, whether you are using a taxi, whether you're using a bicycle, you're still okay because you're going wherever you wanted to go. Now, if you feel that without a car, I'm nothing, then I can't go anywhere, then you are defined by that car.
There's one celebrity that said something very interesting. He said, I think they were asking him, what would happen if fame went away? He said, look, I used to be broke. I used to catch a taxi. And if I have to go back to that life, I don't think I will be a guest. Because
that's a good one.
I don't think I'll be a guest in that life. I've lived that life. So basically, I'm just going back home. And the same way I went up again,
I will still do it again.
Now, we find that other celebrities find it difficult to adjust to being off the spotlight. They still want to be treated with the same type of respect that they were given when they were celebrities of their time. And hence, I love putting it in this manner that says things fade away, especially the ones that we think are permanent. They fade away because with time, things start to change around. We've seen a lot of people come and go. We've seen a lot of celebrities come and go.
Even look at with a car.
Yeah.
will buy a 2023 model now and thinking it's the most nicest thing ever.
Yeah.
Besides be the car having to lose value where it depreciates, then they're gonna come another model.
Just
That
after you
now,
bought that one.
just after you've bought that one, and you look at it like, nah, I no longer
You need
want
to go.
it, you know. So
And we've gotten ourselves into enormous pits where we can't even breathe because we somehow feel I need to hold a certain status in.
for who though? For who? No.
Yeah.
For who?
Because at the end of the day, you feel like you owe people something. I think that's where it comes from.
Did they ask you?
No,
Did they tell you what you owe them? Then why are we doing this thing to ourselves?
Because we are putting ourselves through pressure. Because look, with what I'm mentioning, when things are just disappearing with time, your age also disappears with time. There was a time when I was 6 years old, you know, and there are times when I will not be 6 years old anymore.
Yeah.
I can't be thinking like a 6-year-old. I need to move up with my age. And unfortunately, some of us are stuck in the medieval times where we think we are still teenagers and we still, you know,
Yeah.
still have that bone in us where we can just jump as much as possible
Yeah.
and run as fast as possible. It's not happening. And that is being attached to time. That is being attached to age. Something that you can't even control yourself.
Yes.
And people are attached to this thing that I like. People are attached to control. People are attached to being in control of every situation. Now, for me, Lebo, that's just too dangerous because certain things you can't control.
Yeah, I know.
You can't even name what happened after it happened because you were not in control.
And even if you think you are in control of certain things, there's gonna come a point in time where you cannot control it anymore. Even a dog. There comes a point where they don't even listen to the owner. I haven't owned one though, but I've seen it.
I was watching this video where this woman, unfortunately, this is how she met her death. She raised a snake. She was so attached to the snake. She was sleeping with it, raising it, you know, up until it was huge, but still wanted to continue as if it's still
The baby.
Yeah.
The innocent one.
Yeah. And it continues
The non-dangerous one.
And now she was found on her bed dead because the snake had just crushed her. Do you understand what I mean? So this brings me back to attachments and how dangerous they are.
Not knowing when to let go of
Not
that
knowing when to let go.
Because if ever she understood that this attachment served me for a certain time, now I cannot keep it anymore.
Exactly.
Now it's time for me to let go.
Let's take, I'm sorry to say this, let's take puppies or dogs. There are times when they've been too old, now they're tired, they can't live anymore. And unfortunately, we've grown so attached to them, you know. We know that whenever the dog is around, you know, it will be jumping around. But at times we need to understand that with nature, things start to change and things start to evolve. I remember I had a puppy that I will never forget. The name was Fluffy. It was beautiful. Well, it did nothing for the family. You know, it's not like it was a guard dog that it chased people away. No, it was just there eating food. But because it was so fluffy and nice, I enjoyed having it. But I understood when the time came that, hey, I'm going to miss you, but I can't really now run around, look for things that are going to heal you because already you've passed on. So there are things that we hold dear to us. There are memories that we hold dear to us. And this is how more people become stalkers. When they can't accept, Lebu is gone. You know, Lebu is no longer with me. Lebu is living her life somewhere else. Instead of me saying, we had our time together, it's fine. I know the mistakes between me and you. I mean, because of the attachments that I've grown to you, I'm going to start stalking you. I'm going to start looking at your social. Oh, so you're having a new
Because you
girlfriend.
still want to stick to that. You still want to
it's
hold it. And you still want to have it.
By that time, the hold is just losing its grip itself. So we need to, I think, summarize everything. We need to just be careful of how far we hold things close to us. You made a beautiful example with your limbs and your legs and then your legs, your hands and everything. That life will put you in a wheelchair. Does not mean that you are dead. It means you've lost the ability to walk. You understand? Or life will take your eyes. It does not mean that you are dead. So we need to adjust to how you will realize that when somebody just lost his car and he's using a bicycle and he's happy. He's happy. We are the ones looking at him as if we were going to help him contribute the car. We're looking at him like, how can you downgrade like this from a 4x4 to a bicycle? But he's happy. He's genuinely happy. And he's not even trying to prove a point to someone.
You'll even find those who have a car and they'll still use public transport because they are not attached to the item.
So let's not be attached, people. Word of advice, attachment is dangerous. It's dangerous, that one. Don't be attached.
First, you need to identify what are you attached to.
Exactly.
For you to know that whether
But I never asked, what are you attached to? What do you feel that you're attached to?
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
You see?
No.
This is a person who takes things as they come. Like, oh, there was a time when I thought to myself, what is she at? Like, there was a time when I thought certain things were important, where you sort of like view ladies all in the same basket. Like, all the ladies are attached to this. All the ladies are attached to this. And then you find that there's just this one who's like, oh well, I'm not. If it's here, it's here. If it's not, it's not. Then we move on.
Yeah.
But how easy is it, or how does life become easy when you do not have those
attachment? Yo, peace of mind. I don't want to lie to you. That's why I asked you that question. For who though? For who? Because once we understand that you are just stressing yourself for nothing. You are just giving yourself sleepless nights for nothing. While if ever you accept and acknowledge, you deal with what it is now and just let it go and move on. Then you will sleep better at night. You'll even gain weight if ever you have been struggling. You'll glow better. We need to get to a point where we take things as they come and not as what they were supposed to be or the way we want it to be. We need to look at things just the way they are. And once you are, and become content with it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily saying that don't do anything to try to change it. If you can do anything about it, then do it. But you need to understand that even if you have the abilities to do something about it, it might not change immediately. Then you must understand, even within that process, then you are still within that and be content with it. But however, though, that's just one sign master that thing. Like you said, that I'm one person who just takes things as
I'm still trying to find out.
I did not just wake up like that. It took time, but I think when I realized that, why I'm sitting here about things that I don't...
You can't even change.
I can't even change. I don't even control. Whether I scream, whether I do whatever, it's still what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So can I just deal with what it is and just be content and be happy with it?
And live your life, man, without anything describing the person that you are. I think if I was to lose certain things in my life, truth be told, I'll be sad. But I will not be mourning for the rest of my life.
No, everybody does get
Yeah.
sad. I do get sad. But it's just that it does not take my whole form.
Yeah. Hey, there are people who are struggling right now with acceptance. And I'm not saying that plastic surgery is a bad thing. But I've realized that people are attached to how they looked 10 years ago. Or maybe they want to change how they look now. Not saying that it's wrong. You do you, boo-boo. Whatever makes you happy. But at the end of the day, things fade away. With time, things fade away. And we've seen this thing with when COVID hit. I think we realized that not everything is permanent. I think we saw that because a lot of people lost their jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost their livelihoods. And that on its own had to sort of knock us and say, hey, be careful. Be careful. This is not permanent. And for me, the lessons that I took was that anything at any time can happen.
Yeah.
Anything at any time can happen.
And I think we tend to focus too much on the negative. Just the same way as COVID came, which was something bad. Anything can happen that can just turn your life around that is positive. So not everything that's going to happen unexpectedly is associated with bad. Just be on the lookout because you might be looking at a miracle in front of you, but you fail to see it because you're just focusing on the bad. Good things do happen.
Good things do happen, man, especially when you least expect them. But that's when preparation meets luck, I think. But we are doing well. We are doing well, and we need to be focused on asking ourselves these questions. What is it that I'm attached to? That's define me? What would I do if this thing was to just go away? Or if this person was to decide one day that this is not working for me, what would happen? Would I be able to live my life? Would I be able to cruise still?
Will you be able to pick up the pieces?
Yeah. But anyway, that's where we leave it for today, people. I think you should be attached to this podcast.
Yeah. No, that's the one thing you need to be attached to.
Why, people?
Bye.